know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you on your daily local. Got myself a fresh cup of Dragon's Roast here this morning. You can stop in, get yourself a fresh cup, get it in one of these special laser engraved tumblers, get it filled with your purchase. And when you bring it back, get 50% off your refill as part of the White Cane Coffee Mug Club. While you're here, you can pick up maybe a cinnamon roll or a Danish. Breakfast burritos are great as well. Stop in around lunchtime. Soup and sandwich is now available at the White Cane Coffee Cafe as well. If you can't make it down to the cafe, not a problem. White Cane's available on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also order your favorite roasted brew at home online at whitecanecoffee.com. Again, this is Coffee and a Conversation, joined this week by a very special guest, White Cane CEO Aaron Willman. And Aaron took a special trip a little over a week ago. Let's take a look.
Lost my vision at the age of 15. I went through a very familiar experience for many disabled teenagers. I started to question what my future was going to look like. As many young people do, I went looking for employment only to be met with rejection time and time again. And due to the fact that people could see my white cane and all the things I couldn't do instead of all the things I was capable of.
That was a brief snippet from Ms. Willman's opening statement before the Senate Committee on Aging a little over a week ago, last Thursday, February 29th. And Aaron, what was that experience like? You go from Warren, PA down to Washington, D.C., and you're sitting in front of a Senate committee.
It was nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie. But it was also very exciting. I mean, I don't know how many people get to say that they got the chance to really put out there the kind of work that we do and say it in front of a national stage. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have always worked to try and make disabled people have more of a voice, mm-hmm. and to be a disabled person with that kind of pool, mm-hmm. I guess would be a word for it, is quite a lot. So.
I mean, there's not much bigger a voice you can have than being in front of the U.S. Senate, even if it's a committee hearing. But what was that whole time? I know you guys went down a couple of days ahead of time just to kind of experience the nation's capital, and did you have some fun for those couple of days before you were able to testify?
Oh yeah, we were absolute tourists. I mean, both my dad and I, we hit some bucket lists that we wanted to do. Like, we went to the Smithsonian, which was something I had always wanted to do since I was a little kid, and Dad and I also went on this night tour of DC where we got to see some of the monuments, and it was sort of surreal to be in the presence of like the Lincoln Memorial, and just like it was incredible, and just like some of the things that we learned on that tour was very interesting. Like, no statue in DC can be above 19 feet tall, because the statue on top of the Capitol building is 20 feet tall, and it's the Statue of Justice. So it symbolizes that no one is above justice.
Right. Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, my family and I went down 2 years ago over the summer, and that was the first time I had been there since I was, I think, 5. But yeah, it was nice to be able to get down there and kind of walk around and see everything. And I had forgotten just how steep those upper steps, especially going up to the Lincoln Memorial, get when you get to that top, and it's like, ooh, wow, that's kind of, you're almost going vertical there.
Yeah, we joked that that was our Rocky moment.
So, I mean, obviously, I think a bucket list item for anybody really should be a trip to DC at some point, just to see all the history and really kind of take everything in. But then when it comes down to getting down to business, so to speak, what was it like for you to just walk in um, to that building and realize I'm sitting in Congress and not just here on a tour?
I have never been more tense in my life. Like, it was nerve-wracking, but again, in like the best way.
Mhm.
But just like I was tense in ways I've never been as tense. Like, I'm usually pretty chill when it comes to public speaking,
Mhm.
but again, this was something that I knew could have such a huge impact. And so I was nervous,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much of that came off in the speech, but like anytime they weren't talking to me, just like you could, I'm sure that the people behind me could see just how much like I was stimming, and
Mhm.
just like I was nervous, but
Yeah.
just like it's like once I knew that they were addressing me, like just like stood ramrod straight, just like all right,
I know.
focus.
All right, business, let's go. uh, and so I know, we had been sure to let people know that you were going to be down there. There was a chance for them to view, and we certainly hope people took advantage of that. I know they're going to post the video of the entire hearing at some point, I think by the end of the month, if I heard correctly. Um, but just to refresh for those who may not have seen it, the purpose of your visit was to give your insight on why Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act needs to be done away with. And for those who don't know, Section 14C essentially allows employers to get a waiver from the wage division to pay disabled employees less than the federal minimum wage. And this was something that was enacted in 1938, coming out of the Depression. And of course, at that period of time, right, accommodations were a little harder to come by, for people with disabilities. But now, here in the year 2024, and you've proven right here at White Cane Coffee that it's not that difficult to provide accommodations and still provide your workers with a decent wage.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed since the 30s.
You don't say.
But yeah, the fact that it is still legal right now to pay people with disabilities less than minimum wage is just intrinsically wrong and should be done away with. And so that's what we really went down there to do, was to try and give them the perspective of, hey, this is what people are living through with disabilities, that we aren't being treated like people, and that needs to change.
And there's a couple pieces of legislation that Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey is really pushing. He's the chair of the committee, and a big reason why you were one of the four giving testimony that day. And I know you've had,
He was
obviously,
one of the ones who invited me.
prior to that, you've had some interactions with Senator Casey. What have those interactions been like?
Again, he's a nice guy,
Mhm.
honestly. And just like he even said after the hearing that he can't wait to come up during the summer so he can come into the shop. But just like he's a nice guy. And like he was even asking just like what our best selling coffee was. And we're just like, it's the Dragon's Roast, which is a love letter to Warren.
Right.
So, and the fact that nationwide our love letter coffee is our bestseller is kind of amazing.
Mhm.
But yeah, he was very supportive.
Mhm.
Or Senator Braun was very supportive. So just like everyone was very kind there. This wasn't sort of a hit piece.
Right. Yeah. Well, and just watching it, we had a little watch party here at the cafe, and just watching it there, you could tell the entire tenor was different than what you see maybe when they're arguing a bill on the Senate floor in front of the full Senate, or the full House of Representatives. It seemed like everybody on the committee, at least who was there, was kind of on the same page of, yeah, we probably need to do something to abolish this. Is that the sense that you got from them?
Oh, absolutely. Both sides of the aisle both seem to agree that disability is bipartisan. Just like it doesn't matter if you become disabled due to aging, due to an accident, if you're born that way, no matter what. If something happens to you in the disabled community, we sort of have like this sort of thing called like the 30-second rule. Just like once you become disabled, it takes your mind 30 seconds to realize your whole life has changed. So that's sort of what, so it's glad that they sort of acknowledge that as well. So yeah, both sides of the aisle were able to come together on disability, which is incredible.
And you mentioned Senator Braun. Just want to make sure he's the ranking Republican on the committee there. And I know you spent some time in the days leading up to your trip working on that opening statement. How did you feel that went for you, and what kind of impact do you think that it had?
I think it went well. Again, just like luckily I had a team on who helped me sort of sort out everything I wanted to say, because the weeks leading up to it, I had so many bullet points in my head that I wanted to hit, and to the point where just like it was becoming a little overwhelming. So luckily I had people on who were smarter than me to sort of help me focus what I wanted to say.
And you get, they said you could have 5 minutes, right, for that opening statement. And you think, oh, 5 minutes, that's kind of a long time to talk. But then all of a sudden you start, putting your ideas on paper, and, suddenly you're, oh, this is going to take me 15 minutes to read. And so kind of what do you think were the most important points for you going into that, to get across to the committee about your experiences, not only as a blind person trying to find work, but also as a business owner who employs people with disability and does so, above the minimum wage?
Well, for one, I wanted to really sort of let them know the stories of some of my employees on who have been through the sheltered workshop programs, and how they weren't treated right, and how they were made to feel less than, which no one should have to go through that. And one of the bigger things that I wanted to say and sort of finish off my speech with is I wanted them to change the world, whether it was through this law or just anyone hearing this speech. I wanted at least someone out there to go, you know what, this isn't right, but we can change that. And that's what really I set out to do when I went down there.
And so, once you gave your opening statement, then the other three witnesses did so as well. And then it was kind of a question and answer time. Did they give you any kind of heads up about what areas they might focus on with the questions, or was it you didn't know what was going to be asked until they finished asking it?
They did send us a list of questions that they could possibly ask, and I sort of focused a little bit harder on what I considered more hardball questions. So I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for these. And then they hit me with one that I hadn't prepared as much, because I'm just like, I've got this one, and it threw me a little bit. So like, I know my stutter was probably a lot worse on that one, but we circled around. We got to the point we needed to get. So I was able to answer it, I think, fairly well for the situation, especially seeing that it was, I had mentioned in a question before that I was very bad at math. And then the next question was just like, so what would you do in this situation with math? I'm just like, oh man, this is not the one I prepared for.
Right. You should have known the math question was coming, though. I mean, right?
I mean, like, I knew what I wanted to say,
Mhm,
but sometimes it's hard finding the words to say
mhm,
it. So it's just like, all right, here's how I want to open with it, give sort of a personal little anecdote on why this is important to me, and then circle back
mhm.
to again why this is important to me. So like, but it became a very roundabout thing. So like again, I only have a small percentage of vision, but like so I really couldn't see myself, but I did see my dad behind me just looking befuddled.
Which is generally how he looks anyway, right? I mean, but well, and it was funny that you mentioned that because like I said, I was here at the watch party and with your mom, and they started asking the question, and as soon as she started hearing it, it was kind of a, oh no, this is not her strong point. And as you're kind of as you said, kind of circling back around, kind of went the long way. She's like, okay, yes, bring it back, and but I mean.
Like my dad's just like, man, she is taking us on a journey.
But for him, he's got to sit in the chamber and just kind of, be quiet and not say anything. And, on the flip side, we're back here and I can hear your mom going, okay, come on, bring it back, bring it back. I mean, could you kind of feel that support traveling, over that distance and knowing that people here were taking an active interest in seeing what you had to say about this issue?
Oh yeah, it's been I've gotten an incredible sort of feedback
Mhm.
from doing it. Like right after the hearing, like my best friends messaged me and just like it's like, yeah, when we saw it, we cried. I'm just like, why did you cry? You've been with me through the experience. You know what's happened.
Mhm. But in some ways, does it kind of, you talk about them being with you through the experience, right? When you tell their story, it kind of, or your story, it kind of becomes their story as well, at least that part of it that they're impacted by. And, I mean, how does that make you feel when your friends come back and say, hey, this was awesome. And I was in tears and, just knowing that there was that kind of impact from your words.
it's it's always a little bit odd to just like tell your life story and have people cry at it. Like it's weird
You're
in
right.
its own way, but I think I think what really tries to get across is that there is hope for what's going on out there. Like you don't have to live in the way that people have told you have to live. Like again, I was told that I would never be able to work competitively,
Mhm.
and now I am a CEO of a company because I am stubborn.
Right.
but but I'm what I think I'm trying to get at is if what I'm saying is bringing people to tears, I'm hoping that they're tears of sort of a hope that
Mhm.
they can be more than what people have always told them that they
Yeah.
could be.
Well, and I know you told the story often about an employee who came in and basically told you, "I want to work for 725 or
Or
less,"
less.
and explain again for maybe some who haven't heard that. What kind of went through your mind when you heard them say, "I want to work for 725 or less."
It was so heartbreaking when we heard the or less because that meant that somewhere along the line in his life, someone made him feel like he was worth less than anyone else. And that is heartbreaking. That is truly deeply wrong
Mhm.
that someone and made him feel that way. And again, I wonder how many other people, not only in this state but in this country,
Mhm.
have gone through that or are going through that. And it's so deeply intrinsically wrong that people are being made to feel that way. That yes, this topic is very deeply personal to me.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that anyone I come across knows that they have worth, that they deserve to be treated well.
Mhm.
So it's not right that anyone is made to feel like they are worth less than anyone else. everyone has worth, everyone has a purpose, everyone deserves to be treated right.
And so circling back to the hearing a little bit, when you're sitting there in that question and answer session, right? And it's, you never know. Okay, now this Senator Braun, you have the time, and now Senator Casey or Senator Fetterman, whatever. But you don't know necessarily who they're going to ask what. Do you sit there and kind of, is it going to be me? Is it going to be me? Or is it just more of a, okay, now they're asking this person this question, and you're kind of going through that list of, here's what we're possibly going to ask, thinking, okay, that means I might get this, this, or this.
Not so much. I mean, I'm pretty good at sort of like taking what comes at
Mhm.
me. So just like and again, kind of knowing what was coming up was almost a little bit weirder than what I'm
Yeah.
used to when I do public speaking events. But just like I wasn't too worried like when it came to like, all right, am I going to be next? I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, just like try and relax as much as you can
Mhm.
before you speak when you speak, and then be prepared and for when you are.
Mhm.
So it wasn't really a all right, focus. It was more just like, is it me next? Just like no, I was very much just like, okay, keep it calm.
Mhm.
Everything's fine. Okay, I'm next. All right, let's show them what we have to say.
And so when you kind of come in there, did you have a chance to interact with the other witnesses ahead of time, or were you kept intentionally separately apart, or what was that process like?
We I was able to sit with some of the other speakers for a little bit,
Mhm.
and you could tell that they were a little bit nervous as well
Mhm.
because again, this was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I mostly sat with the other speakers from Arkansas.
Mhm.
So and again, he was very nervous, and
Mhm.
so but we were all there to do the same thing. We were all there to try and allow for disabled people to have gainful employment. So we were all on the same
Yeah.
side.
And so you mentioned one of the other business owners. I think I heard him say at one point that they had somewhere over 100 employees currently. I don't quote me on that. Um, but but how much do you think that really demonstrated that, here's small business in Warren County, and here's a bigger business, halfway across the country, and both of them are able to um, provide disabled workers with a wage at minimum wage or above, and not applying for these waivers to try to pay them less.
I mean, it's incredible. And the fact is, we are in contact with them currently. It's
Mm.
just like, because we both agree, if things are going to change, we need to work together
Mhm.
on this. So yeah, we've stayed in contact with them. We're both very interested in what each other they're are doing and what we plan to do next. So we have stayed in contact.
Yeah. And so eventually with that contact, they're going to have start having some White Cane coffee in their break rooms, right? And,
Hopefully.
but I mean, if that were to happen, I mean, how cool would that be for you to know, like, okay, so we're now in the break room of this company halfway across the country because we chose to do the right thing. They chose to do the right thing, and two different senators eh, invited us to come to the same hearing, and we met. I mean, how cool would that be
I mean, it's very cool.
for you?
Just again, the fact that there's such a, a national outreach to try and bring people together. And again, we do it over coffee.
Right.
So
Over coffee.
again, the universal uniter.
Right.
And again, the both sides of the aisle
Mhm.
agreed that this was an issue that needs to be fixed.
And so this is I believe this is 10-person committee, if the full committee was there. There were a few members missing, but what was the sense that you got from it? It seemed like Casey and Braun did most of the talking. Senator Fetterman asked a couple of questions, but what was the overall sense that you got from the other members of the committee, about this legislation and about the stories that they heard from you?
I think that they were very passionate about changing things. Again, I hope that the senators on who weren't able to be there
Mhm.
when they watch it are also moved. But for the people who were there, they were very receptive. I mean, everyone on who was there
Mhm.
or came up and talked with me afterwards. So that was a lot. So,
Right.
but like,
Yeah,
but in the best,
hobnobbing with the upper echelon of
but like
Washington,
in
right?
the best
Yeah.
way. So like, these are people with a lot of power on
Mhm.
who realize that there's a problem, it needs to be changed, and are willing to talk to a little girl, a little small business owner from
Mm.
Warren, Pennsylvania, and are like, and are talking about coming down on here in the
Mhm.
summer or coming up here in the
Yeah.
summer, just like and buying coffee and just
Mhm.
like it's like they want to be a part of this just as much as anyone
Yeah.
else.
You mentioned, you had some friends reach out and send you some messages and things like that. But what other generally, what's the reaction that you've gotten from other people who had a chance to see the hearing?
Overwhelmingly positive. It's been almost oddly overwhelmingly positive, especially seeing on how nervous I was
Hmm.
leading up to it. I mean, you got a little bit of that because you're always in here, and but like you were very obviously seeing that I was stressed out, but just like yeah, like it was to the point where like I stopped keeping track of the
Yeah.
anxiety attacks. I was so nervous
Mm.
leading up to it, and just like, but again, day of, I knew I was going to sort of be able to be put together, and like
Mhm.
it's all of the build up that is
Right.
very stressful, and just like, and again, there was a lot I wanted to say, and like I know that there was. If it wasn't the 5-minute time limit, I could have gone on for for
Probably still be talking to him, right?
yeah, but just like, but I think what I did say was impactful enough,
Mhm.
and I hope that there is a change, but like I think it I completely lost my train of thought, but that happens. But I think what we're doing and what they're doing down in DC,
Mhm.
I think it is going to lead to something very good. And again, we've been getting a lot of support from a lot of different people, both disabled and
Right.
non-disabled. So I think a change is
Mhm.
coming.
Does it make it easier, do you think, to even just locally try to impact that or affect that change, now that so many more people are aware that this is a thing, right? I mean, the first time you told me about it, I was like, wait, what? You can do what?
There were people we met in DC on who didn't know
Yeah.
it. So again, just like because my dad was bragging to everyone we met there that yes, I am going to be speaking in front of the Senate,
Uh-huh.
but as fathers do.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, just the more people on who realize that this
Mhm.
is a thing that's going on, that this is a problem that needs to be solved,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that sort of leads them to go, okay, this is a problem. What can we do
Mhm.
to help fix this problem? Like one little spark can sort of light
Yeah.
something a lot bigger. So if what I said or what anyone else on that
Mhm.
panel said can enact change in either their local community or on a nationwide scale. That is brilliant.
And so, I mean, obviously, this is an issue that you're very passionate about. Um, but for somebody who might say, well, they were able to make accommodations because their CEO is a disabled person, so you would have already had some of those things in place, right? I mean, it's not like you're just only hiring blind people, right?
Yeah.
So how was it you were able to accommodate the disabilities that some of the employees had, and still be able to pay them like an able-bodied person or employee would have been paid? And how could maybe somebody else in the area take those same or similar steps?
Honestly, talk to your disabled employees. Ask what they need to be able to work better. I mean, again, it's a little bit costlier at first, but once they feel comfortable, they are more productive and they are more loyal, which leads to less turnover. So honestly, it's worth that little bit of cost for accommodation to be able to get a much better payback both for your workers on who feel welcome and incentivized to work, and it's a better morale in the workplace as well. I mean, I said that during the hearing, and I'll say it here, just like, you will never meet a more enthusiastic workforce than the people who work at White King Coffee. It is great to hear them talk to their families, their friends, to each other about what they're doing next.
Well, and I mean, and you get that just walking into the cafe here. I mean, there's always somebody here at the door to greet you, and people are upbeat and enthusiastic. And like you said, I'm here all the time. So, but now that you've had this experience, is this something you'd want to pursue again? Are we going to see you back down in the halls of Congress and speaking before other committees to try to further this initiative?
There have been talks about me possibly going to Harrisburg to work more on not just on the national level, but on the state level. I mean, again, that's going to be a whole other bag of nerves, but who knows what the future lies for or this, because there are more things that can be done to help disabled people. And if I get to be a part of it, I'm absolutely going to jump at it. So whether I am invited again to DC, and who knows what else touristy things we'll be able to get to do next time.
Check some more things off the bucket list, right?
Because it is amazing down there. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So, and like, there are more things we absolutely could have done, but just like, we only had so much time. And just like, even the 2 days we were down there were exhausting afterwards. Just like, I'm pretty sure I'm still recovering, and it's been a week. So,
well, yeah, I mean, like I said, we spent a week down there and still didn't get to everything. So, yeah, I can imagine trying to cram it all into 2 days.
But like, the stuff we did get to do was incredible. So, if we ever do get to go down there or again, there is so much more that we would love to do. And again, if there is more things I can do to help the disabled community, I will do it. Just like, again, it's something that is very dear to my heart, because even though I wasn't born blind, I was born autistic and even though I was diagnosed very late in it, I know about some of the difficulties that comes with being an undiagnosed autistic girl, where or the bullying is rough. And so there is also bullying in the workplaces, unfortunately. And so that needs to be put a stop to. Like, there are more things that can be changed for disabled people to feel more welcome, because this is an able-bodied world.
Yeah.
And so the more we can do to change that so everyone feels included in all spaces, absolutely, I'm going to fight for that.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up on a little bit of a lighter note.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry for that, a
So
little
no,
bit
you're
darker.
good. You're good. Two things. One, what was your most favorite thing that you did on this trip? Two, if you do go back, what's the one thing you want to make sure you do next time that you didn't do this time?
Well, my favorite thing personally was going to the Smithsonian. That was a big bucket list item for me, and just like there was so much there that,
Mm,
and like of course, if I go there, I would like to see some of the other buildings. But honestly, if I ever got the chance to go down to DC again to tour or more or and more sort of like there are other like the Congress building would be cool to tour, like to be sort of, we had a very quick tour of the Senate building. So if I could redo that and
Yeah.
sort of catch up on what we missed, that would be cool. But like, because everything had to be very quick,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot more that I would love to experience down in DC. And like there are more monuments down there
yeah.
that it would be cool to
Mhm.
be around, because again, there's just sort of like that presence you get in some of those
Yeah.
areas that both me and my dad were just like, we never expected in our lives to be here.
Right. Well, and it's awe-inspiring, really, at
Yeah.
times, right? I mean, I mentioned the steps going up to the Lincoln Memorial, and as we were coming down, at one point you look out and you can just vision, like, my God, this is where Dr. King was when he gave the "I Have a Dream" speech, and just trying to visualize the hordes of people that would have been in that area, and seeing those words that are there, and the Vietnam Wall is a big one for me.
Yep, we were there.
Yeah.
We were at the Hiroshima
Mhm.
memorial. So
Yeah, and that was one of those, we've had, and I know we've had it here, the traveling wall that they take around the country, which is just a unique experience in and of itself. And I got a chance to see it again when we were out in Colorado, but to be there, right in front
and
of
you traveled far.
just for the real thing, and to see it, and to see people still going up and doing the rubbings and things like that. And again, it's so, there's so much history, there's so much emotion that things can evoke down there, that it's hard to comprehend sometimes.
I will say one of the funny things that happened while we were touring the Senate building, I hope we're not going too long, but they have a statue there of Helen Keller in the Senate building. And so since we worked with the Helen Keller Institute, we had our photo taken with it. And my dad noticed, since they love bronze down in DC, but they had the part of the statue in Braille. And my dad noticed that you could see where sighted people decided to start trying to read Braille and then gave up because it was less tarnished, and like which letters they got more hung up on than others. So that was amusing,
Right?
Just like, this is our daily lives.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay, they made it to here. Oh, yeah, that's about okay.
That's like, yeah, they made it to like 2 words.
Did you read the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Aaron, I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you so much for taking some time with us today. Thank you for taking the time to travel down to Washington, D.C. and share your experiences, give your testimony. Hopefully it does some good and helps push this legislation along, and gets this law changed in a way that disabled people are no longer being treated like they are worth less.
Yeah.
So that will about do it for Coffee and a Conversation today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hope you have a great day, a great rest of your weekend. And remember, if you change one life, you change the world. She said it. We'll see you next time on Coffee and a Conversation.
Bye.
You know what would make that better? A cup of white cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.